Hey guys, what's going on? Sherman here. And wanted to take this time today and try to destroy a beautiful TOPS knife. This is the TOPS Knives Iraq-Jac. Had this for about a week. It's our Dane. If you see. That's who you can hear barking usually in the video. But had this knife about 5 days, a week now, and I really wanted to test it out. I'll show you, it is in pristine condition. Whoop. Sharpened it up pretty nice. I'm gonna see if I'm right in saying that this is more of a sharpened tool than it is an actual dedicated knife. I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me and saying, well, of course it's a knife. I know it is a knife, but I definitely think that this will serve a lot more purposes than a normal knife would. And I definitely don't think this can perform the same way other knives can. What do I mean? Well, I don't think this is going to make a good food prep knife, a good slicing, whittling knife. But what I do think this can do that, say, like a Mora clipper couldn't do, or, you know, things like that that most people think of bushcraft, outdoor, food prep knives. This, I think, could definitely pry open a door with, you know, a little bit of added muscle. I think this can split very well, and there's just no way you could ever break this knife. So that's what I'm saying. I think this is going to hold up a lot better than other knives will while being put through tasks that a knife shouldn't be put through. So that's what I want to test out today. If you hear all kinds of noise in the background, there's doing some kind of road work in my neighborhood. So I'm going to try to test this knife out and a little bit of, in my opinion, some realistic applications. Alright guys, I did get this sharper than it was from the factory. See how I cut some of this rope? That didn't go very well at all. Alright, let's see if we can saw us through more than anything. It doesn't have a very toothy edge, which is what you need for things like this. Almost. This is where a thicker knife is not best. It's almost through. This is real thick rope though. It's not even cutting through. I muscled through it. Alright, finally through that rope. That thick blade does not help any. So we got like a 1 by 3.5. I caught some flack on my last videos by referring to every board as a 2 by 4. You can visually see that it's not a 2 by 4. I just generically call every piece of board a 2 by 4. You know, kind of like how everybody calls every marker a Sharpie and whatnot. So this knife has no chopping weight to it, so anything you get to split is going to have to be with batoning. So let's see how it batons. There's a knot right there in the wood. Went through rather well. Just got some of the sap on there. splits very well, actually. People will argue and say that a thicker blade is good for splitting. Others say full flat ground is better for splitting. I can see both sides of the argument. You have that deep, you have that saber grind and that big, like a shelf right there. I can see how that would aid as a wedge. I see how that could aid in actually splitting the wood. But I can also see how a full flat grind will glide through the wood easier and slicing through the wood as opposed to chopping through it. I guess that could be the difference there. Let's see how it is at making little shavings for like a feather stick. That's actually not bad at all. I know they're not staying on there, but you can see the little pieces that are coming off. That's actually better than I thought. Actually a lot better than I thought. See those little shavings? Whoop. It's great for making a fire. Yeah, that's pretty impressive actually. So, like I said, it has no chopping weight. Whittling's pretty well. I'm sure I'm going to get the comments saying, you know, this pressure treated wood is going to act differently than wood you're going to find. You know, you're going to find your logs and everything like that. Tree limbs are going to be a lot different than a 2x4. And I understand that. This is just a general test to see how the knife performs, how it cuts, how it will baton. So that actually did pretty well. Let's do try to do little gouges. See, the tip is very strong. I don't know if you can see that with the light. Very, very strong tip. Like the knife, the tip is so thick that it's not even digging into the wood, really. Which can be a good thing to a lot of people, or it could be a bad thing. That's very subjective. Let's just see how it chops a little bit, just with the weight of itself, because it is heavier than the Azula. It's very well balanced, but still the blade is a little bit heavier than the handle, so it can still chop a little bit. No, you're not going to really be doing a lot of chopping with this knife, but I'm just doing a general test to see how the knife holds up. You know, for how much this knife weighs, it's actually taken a fair amount of material off. Not a whole lot, but I mean, it's taken a good amount off. Let's see. It works pretty darn well at batoning. Not wanting to bite in very much. See, we're going right into the knot. It's right there. And with a knife this thick, it's really not gonna punch through that knot. Not very easily. Alright, another thing I've been wanting to try out. You know, here another realistic application. Oh, these boards are stuck. All I have is my knife. Let's see how it can possibly pry. And I think this is a pretty realistic application. So I'm going to try to get it where it's wedged between these two boards. There again, maybe not the most realistic application in the world. You know what? I'm going to nail these two boards together and then try it out. See if I can find the hammer in my tool shed. So now these two boards are stuck together. Yep. As you see, it does pretty darn well for a knife of its size. I mean, is it absolutely freaking terrific? No, absolutely not. It would do much better if, you know, if it was convex, but I think it's performing pretty darn well. Really better than I thought, to be honest. And this isn't even really the extent of what this knife can do. I mean, I could really try to pry open a door with it. If I could, I would definitely try it. What I'll do is splitting this. This dug in there. Alright, here we go. Okay. A lot of knives, the tip would have just been gone. Like I said, this knife has a very, very strong tip. It's awesome, even though you miss it. Sorry, I'm still working with my ghetto tripod here. It's duct taped. longer my baton is going to hold up after this. By the way, check out the micarta. Not even scratched. Let's get through this. Gotta watch out for that nail. Okay, that was pretty easy. Alright, let's try this one, guys. It's barely even biting in. You can see. To be expected, though. This acts like a wedge. Look at that. That's pretty cool. And we're using just a little wimpy baton right now. See the coating. You can see that the where it's stamped in there, it's kind of rubbing off, or it's getting down to that level of metal. See, it doesn't dig in. The edge just isn't quite there yet. We'll do a knot there. When I got some actual pieces of a log, let's see if it can possibly split through that. Move you back down just a tad. Let's see if this will work, guys. Just demolished it. This is pretty dry wood, still very hard wood. You can see, look at it buried in there. That's beautiful. Alright, and then you can just, it's pretty dry wood, but still, like I said, it's pretty hard. Also somebody asked me what these holes in the top of the blade were for, and honestly don't know if they're really intended for anything, but I found a use for them. Tacks in these boards. Without cutting yourself, of course. There you go. So, in case you didn't see that, just take the middle slot, and you can do this with a few other TOPS knives, and bend it towards the spine. And then that one broke off right in the board. Right there. good use for it. This isn't exactly what I'd call a practical application. Well, it might. It depends on who you are. But we've taken tacks out of the wood. Let's put some back in it using the knife. You can use the spine back here. It's pretty thick. I'm going to be very careful, of course. It helped I had accurate aim. It's actually pretty good. If you can see that. Coating is coming off a little bit. It's to be expected, but I mean, I'm sitting there hammering on a tack and the coating's still holding up pretty well. Overall, the knife held up great. This is definitely a very, very hard use knife, and it slightly beat the crap out of it. And it held up very well. Still very highly recommended. This knife makes an excellent tool.